Hey there, Outliers. Niiamah Ashong here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. I am so thrilled that you are joining us here on the Outliers Edge Roundtable, where we bring together truly amazing outliers who are on their journey to not just be the best for themselves, but also blaze trails for those of us that come with us. And
Mm.
so today I'm excited to really showcase two incredible individuals and how they are navigating their journey right now. Coco, Niharika, I'm so glad that you are in space with us here today. Thanks so much. Mhm.
Absolutely. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, well, Coco, let's start off with you. Let's give Outliers a chance to get to know you. Would you mind telling us more about you and the game you're currently playing?
We're playing a game. Well, I love basketball.
Mm.
This is kind of a little bit of strategic game. I'm a workplace wellness coach and a professor at American University here in Washington, D.C., and really nurturing right now my speaking career. So I'm just focusing on three areas of life, nothing else. If it doesn't fit into any of those buckets strategically in this game, it's a hard no. Just learning to focus more on quality over quantity right now. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I'm currently very curious about sleep and doing some sleep research on students. It's a global study, so I've created one survey that I've linked out and asked any undergrad or graduate student to complete. I'm going to start collecting data and seeing where I want the research to go from there. So, and just applying to conferences and summits and speaking on panels and really honoring trying to get on, God willing, one day, be on a TED Talk stage. So just a big vision, but just being okay with baby steps right now.
Well, I love this here, and what's really fun for me in that life, I think you'll recognize yourself in Coco. She's like, I'm doing this global survey on sleep with every undergraduate and graduate. So baby steps. You
Of
know,
course.
so so
That's
we'll
funny.
put.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you play a big game, Coco, and it's just that's why I say when I
Oh,
talk about like the extraordinariness, I'm like it's ordinary for us, right? In my
yeah.
world, we have a phrase we say amongst our community. It's just a Tuesday, you know.
Mm,
It's just a Tuesday, and it's that element there
yeah.
that I want to keep exploring here in this conversation. To a place where it's like, yeah, we're doing big things, but it's just a Tuesday for us, and we're
Yes.
real people, and we're like there's things that we're trying to figure out, and so on and so forth. So. Coco, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to see where we play in this conversation. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Uh, Niharika, I would love to get to know you. Would you mind sharing more about you and the game that you're playing?
Yes, I am grateful for this opportunity today, and I'll let you know why you think and I think I am an outlier in my life today. So, in my childhood, I was a very well recognized dancer at the state level in India. My life took a turn, and I started to focus on my academics after that. And I turned to instrumentation and control engineering in my undergrad, and I was still exploring things, and I was catered to study, and I became a scholar. That brought me to USA, and I did my master's in biomedical engineering from University of Southern California. My interest became in research, and I entered into medical device space where I worked with Abbott Laboratories, Genentech, as well as AstraZeneca. That took a turn to make me a scientist. And that brought me a new perspective of taking the great leap into life, trust the life process, and enter to ask myself a question: why do I even exist on earth? And why I am carrying the purpose to be in USA here, and why a medical device. So, digging deep into my life, I found answers, and I came back to study in the school, which where I am right now. So, I'm studying at CUNY, and I'm also researching about how everything is connected in our lives and how we as a person can understand our life better. So, from that perspective, 3 years ago, I opened an educating platform which is known as Kar Bhala to Ho Bhala. That means do good and it comes back to you at the right time and the right place,
Mm,
by which I'm able to help people across the world and very young generations to understand their own thoughts and how their life is connected with their careers, with their thinking and thoughts. And also, I came across thoughtless mind. Do we really have thoughtless mind, or is this a fake concept? So I am helping people to get themselves to be very real. And if something is really working for them, it is their own life thing. You don't have to be a copy of somebody else. You have to be very original of yourself. And that is why throughout my life, I have figured out that I have found ways that didn't really work with others, but it worked for me. And there were like magical moments in my life that have always worked for me. So my trust, faith, and belief has bought me the title that we are on the show with today, and that has been called Outlier.
Niharika, I firstly I'm just smiling. Y'all can see my face smiling, but my heart is also smiling. And like I actually feel really, really honored to be in the presence of both of you right here. And the
Thank
reason
you.
here, it's for different reasons, but I love the way that like you keep growing. Like Niharika, you had talked about being a well-recognized dancer. Then you're like, then I became a scholar. Then I became an engineer, and then like turns out I became a scientist. And then I said, how is everything connected around me? And then I built a platform. Like there's
Wow.
everything in it. And I love the
Mhm.
freedom of you. I love the
Mm.
freedom of you in doing in this. And you talked about finding ways that worked that didn't really work well for others, but it worked well for you. Right.
Mhm.
That right there, that's what this whole thing's about, being
Mm.
able to like not just accept, because when I talk to both of you, none of y'all are like just like in there like, yeah, it's the way it works for me, so I guess that's what I have to do. Both of y'all are
Mhm.
doing something with it. It is like
Mhm.
like it's almost like you've been bestowed with this gift of yourself and
Mm.
you recognize it. Right. I would love to continue down this path as we continue. um yeah. All right. So let's go here. There's something actually that caught me out, and our conversation is just going to keep flowing. Coco, you brought in earlier that like there's three things that you're working on right now,
Yes.
and everything else is a hard no, right? And I think that element of a hard no is really quite like fascinating. I'm a
Mm.
recovering people pleaser myself,
Mm.
um, and so
Congratulations.
thank you very much. I work on it every day, and so I'm curious for you around. I want to actually to bring it into our space. So I'm going to bring in the idea of the hard now. I'd love to kind of see how you all navigate with uh, essentially creating the boundaries that like, around what you are trying to create, and how y'all like deal with it as it shifts over time and so forth. So I leave specifically open-ended questions to see what actually resonates here. I'm going to go and actually mute myself for a bit. I'm just really curious about how y'all are thinking about this. Would either of you want to start the conversation? And feel free, like we're just going to hang out and talk about it.
I'll get rocking. The first thing that comes to my mind is entrepreneurs. I'm sure you have a lot of entrepreneurs listening. A lot of things excite us. I get excited about a lot of things and want to go to problem solving right away. And my energy can go in so many directions. So I had to make a rule with myself. Three, Coco. And three just feels, I actually prefer even numbers, but three just feels like a good chunk. So I broke it down. I'm going to focus on understanding what is happening in the workplace with my workplace wellness coaching, hosting retreats, energizing new teams when an organization has a lot of turnover, coming in and trying to understand why and help through one-on-one coaching. And then taking those lessons into being an educator in the class, teaching strategies and stress management to catch college kids before they get to those levels as professionals. So solving the problem by jumping right to it. And then the other one is keynote speaking. I do feel that falls into all the categories together, and it keeps me focused. It keeps me able to chunk my calendar what I want to work on throughout the week, and I feel like I can do something very well because I put very intentional energy into it. And I can teach other people the same thing because I'm modeling it myself. So that's my why behind the three.
Niharika, I'm very curious about your thoughts on this here. I'm gonna like just allow us to flow for a little bit, and then see there's some I have some follow up for you too, Coco.
Cool.
So my take on this is I actually don't let my mind pick and choose things for me. I let my heart pick and
Mm.
choose. things for me.
Mm.
And the reason is because I have gone through a very deep transition in my life, that is from coming from the medical device space into where I am putting my educational skills right now. That transition has helped me to understand that was I really doing everything from my heart, or did I also take things in my life which I really didn't wanted, but I did it because it was giving me an experience that I was using it in my life. So all the
Mm.
no's that I have learned today to say is to first ask my question, is this really something that I wanted from my heart? Or is it something that is related to money, my earning, or even my time spending at an activity where I am helping people, but I am not giving them what exactly they need, or I'm not connecting well with them. So that's the
Mm.
first thing that is currently playing at my life. The second thing is when I get down to really spend time with myself, I tend to understand what is living in this present moment and what is my next task after this moment. So I don't make schedules, I don't make
Mm.
plans for my next day, but I let it happen very organically and naturally because I have learned in my past years like if you make plans, life doesn't work like that.
Mm.
There's always directions that change, there are always certainties. So I live in acceptance space that I let things happen. And even if some things happens which is not right, I let it happen to me because I know I have to get through it to see the whole picture.
Mm.
So that is helping me to live and continue what I am doing, and also to pick up all the things that has happened in my life, especially the journey that I shared from being a dancer to an educational professional and a life coach. So these experiences, when I share with people, I do find a connect that deeper inside. They are all connected to me, like you both are connected with me. So this
Mm.
is what I am living with. So I am living with present moment with acceptance of everything, not saying no to life, but let it happen to me very organically.
Let me tell you why I admire that. Mindfulness, that level of awareness and just living moment to moment, I believe at our core, so many of us want to be there. And the culture, the way this culture and this world is set up, really pushes us in another direction. And I feel the deepest part of me wants to live like that. But I live in Washington, D.C. I've lived here half of my life. I moved here right after college. I've lived here ever since. So this is the quintessential essence of work, work, work. So it's this balance I find myself now as a coach of saying that doesn't fully work for me at all. I want to be fully present. I want to be a Niharika 100%. Where do I find the middle ground in a town like DC and with the professionals and these high achieving students that I work with? So that is what I'm constantly striving for. But as I hear you say this, I'm just like, what a gift to just let stuff flow like that every day. That's my dream. It really is. Kudos to you. What a blessing.
I am blessed to hear that from you because it took, I mean, all my life to help me reach at this stage that you don't
Mm,
have to worry of what's not happening, and you have to not even worry with what it is happening or what it is taking you to make things happen.
mm,
Let it happen. But at the same time, I would say you don't have to be Niharika. You are Coco and you're best at
mm.
your gifts. So
Yes, thank you.
you are you, I am me, right? So that is why we are
Right.
here as a learning person, sharing different perspectives, but still learning. And those learnings are very different for different life journeys, right? That
Hmm.
is why your life is very different and my life is curated at a very different style and nature, correct?
Yes. Love it. Oh, my heart feels so full already. We're only 30 minutes in.
Yeah, be prepared. I've been listening to a lot of Lion King in the household, so like I'm like be prepared. We have
Ah!
just started. We just started. Um, I'm really loving this here. So y'all are gonna notice there's different pieces of things that you're bringing in a conversation. We'll probably interweave as it goes along. All right.
Sure.
So Harika, you talked about asking yourself, am I choosing it from the heart? right? And being present. And I'm actually, this is me being really deeply curious. So I recognized I told y'all that in the last week or so, I've really come back into connection with not just helping outliers be outliers, but like outliers to move into their trailblazer journey. And the way I got to that was because I was talking to someone and they was like, "Look, I'm doing all the right actions. I feel like I'm not going to change what I'm doing, but like." What I've recognized is that it doesn't feel like my heart's in it. I feel like I'm being
Mm,
mindful. People talk about being mindful, and they
mhm,
talk about being soulful, right? But I don't feel like I'm being heartful. And I don't
mm,
know if anyone talks about that. So since you brought in this area of choosing from your heart, I'm thinking about any outlier that's listening to this and might even feel like, ooh, like that sounds awesome. But I live in New York City. You know, I'm living in Los Angeles. Like I have I have two young kids that are like playing around here. Like I don't have the space for that here.
mm,
I love to. I love to open up a conversation, not in terms of like what do you need to say to them, but I'd like to like bring that into the space here and see like how do you navigate it? Is it all yeah, how do you navigate it? Let me put it into that space there because I know what happens when it's missing. And I think
mm.
outliers out there also feel that too. There's a strong desire for it. Anything come to you, Niharika?
Yes, I'll share my very great experience, or I would say the greatest learning of my life. So when I was living my life and I grew up in India, I moved to United States. I always thought that I would be doing this, but this will come to me at the next step. So for example, I changed my directions from instrumentation engineering to biomedical engineering. It was a very natural turn. But there was one point in my life where I had everything which I really wanted, a good job, a good like personality, everything was good. I was doing very well in my life, but still I had a question that was nerve wracking and that was breaking my heart, that I think I have to understand really what I am made for. And that was the day when I had put my own desires of my life to zero. I've shut down my desires by working on myself, and I had asked universe or God that tell me why I am here on planet Earth and what purpose do I really carry. When I
Mm,
asked this question, I understood one thing which was very deep, and that thing was we as human don't realize that we have desires and we are just fulfilling those desires one after the other, and we are not even asking the questions, is this desire right for me? And even if
mm,
that desire is right, how do we really know that the thing that we have asked for is right? How would you know? But that time when I was trying to understand myself, I understood one question, or I got the answer to the question, that we are born at we are born at one particular time and we die at one particular time. So this is all well planned by the universe. So when everything is well planned by the universe, they have something waiting for us which we have not asked, and they're waiting for us to ask that question. Hey, ask me that question, what you are here for. So when I started to ask that question, I got very deep in my life and I started to follow that path. It was not easy for me because I had to completely change or naturally change my belief system. My thinking changed, my power of like, I would say, saying no increased, power to acceptance of life increased, and I could navigate and also understand that I'm not here to make people understand myself. I am here to understand
mhm,
myself at my best particular potential. And that is how I started to connect it to my heart. So when my mind got silent or almost zero or null, that is when I figured out that answer, like, what does my heart want? So, the message to everybody who is listening to me or us today is, when you ask the universe or God the purpose of you being here, you will be transitioned to that path which will get you the highest potential or make your heartful life come to your desire. So you have to become zero in order to understand your highest potential. But if you say to the universe, this is my desire, and go up to that desire and fulfill that, still you're unhappy, that is where the life is giving you the learning, hey, ask me. I am there for you and I'm always there for you. So that is the sheer life lesson or learning I would share with everybody today.
Yeah, I'm feeling you on this, especially this element like the thank you. You know, like let me say that. Let me say thank you. A part of me wants to like expand on it and go back and forth, but another part of me just wants to like allow outliers to just like sit with that, you know. And you know, if we need to go back, listen to it again. There's a simplicity in it all. But just because it's simple doesn't mean it's necessarily easy. But I'm here you're like put yourself down to zero. Like that's not like a necessarily an easy thing to do, and that's what I get along the way. So yeah, outliers. Go back and listen to that as you need to. I think that like the wisdom is there, and I'm gonna let that one flow out. Um, I'm being called to something here that Coco, you came up earlier when you were speaking, and I want to put this into our space because there's something right now around focus. What I'm hearing is the word focus. That was something of what you were bringing in earlier. It got me to reflect right now. Even right before I came onto this recording, I was asking myself, am I thinking too small in the way that I'm operating? Because for the first time, I'm doing a lot of my own work now. I don't have like a very large team that's working with me at the time of this recording. And normally I would
Hmm.
be leading others to be like, here goes my high level vision. And then let's all go out and you know, y'all make it happen. And I'm just gonna make sure that it's happening along the way. And so I'm asking myself as this goes on, have I brought my thinking down too small? Am I asking myself questions that help bring out? And something that struck me was when I asked you about the hard nodes and you talked about the three areas that you're focused on right now. Um, what was really fun and what struck me was that like you're like, well, each of these areas have multiple things underneath it, you know. It was it was like it's like I'm only doing these three things, and like while I'm doing workplace wellness coaching, I'm hosting retreats, I'm doing this, I'm doing like, and it was there was actually something in it that felt really freeing. That felt really freeing, and I want to bring attention to that here. I want to get your take on it, especially in the context of focus. Um, and like being able, yeah, focus I think is the right place. But I also want to point it out, outliers. Like, what's cool here is that both of y'all do very like you do a lot, right? But
Mm,
you're also have taken the time to like find ways to help people digest what you do, you know,
mm,
and like and I also get that you're like, I'm gonna own this domain. It is vast. It is a vast domain, but it is my domain, and it's the domain of me right here, you know.
mm.
So Coco, like let's. I'm curious, of, like what you're getting from this. What's popping off for you, especially within the lens of focus. But feel free to toss that out all together and just share what's on your heart.
I love being among my people, y'all, because I have heard my whole life that I do a lot, that it's never enough. And what I try to explain, my mother's voice is in my head the most. So for outliers that have parents or siblings that have a lot to say about us doing a lot, when we can explain this is eustress. So there's a difference. There's de-stress and eustress. Eustress is uplifting. It adds energy. It makes us feel alive. To the outside world, it's a lot, but to us, it gives us life. The distress is traffic and not eating well and neglecting moving your body and feeling stressed out and not sleeping well. That's the stressful stuff. But we have control. So I say all that to say I get excited a lot, so I had to get focused. And you're right. I still hear that. There's a lot. You have buckets under each category. And it made me think, Niharika, thank you for giving me a different perspective because I realize I do say yes to things that are heart led. I say no to things that feel like, okay, that would take a lot of energy from one of these three buckets. And it's not always about ROI, but am I getting to the target market? Am I really getting a message across? Is the time worth the audience reach? So these are questions I have to constantly ask. But for me, the three help me stay focused and help me decide what to say yes or to. They help me divide up my day. I wish I could be more free spirited in regards of my daily schedule, but I grew up in an Air Force family. I'm the oldest of four girls. I've stayed in a scholarly academic setting since I graduated from college. So it's really, I'm very structured. That works very well for me. And it allows me to control day by day and what I want to spend time on. And it helps me really look back and say, what am I actually valuing? Because how we spend our time and our money really reflects our values. I spent 6 hours yesterday at a Korean bathhouse, phone off, literally with my journal planning out a women's wellness retreat that I want to host in March. And in 6 hours, I had it completely planned out from minute by minute. So taking time for yourself to rest, and I value wellness and time alone and in my mind to think and process. That wasn't, some people might see that as a whole day wasted at a spa. To me, I created an entire vision behind this that I can now start to market. But it was focus. It still falls under wellness. This could possibly turn into more business. There could be a woman that attends my retreat that is the CEO of an organization and needs workplace wellness for for her team. I could be that person. So when you just live in the moment on why am I creating this, it's exciting when more opportunities come down the line. And so I just try to keep stuff very loose and open, but it has to be in one of those three buckets right now.
Yeah, I got a lot from what you just said there. One of the things that just came out here was probably less intentional on your part, but I do want to make sure I reflect it back, which is that you talk about eustress and distress, and I've heard about the
Yes.
difference between that as time goes on here. And Outliers, Coco gave us a little bit of a bit of a glimpse into it. If you want to get even further into it, go do some additional research on it. It's really quite fascinating. But it's like not all stress is bad,
Yes.
and something that occurred to me was that in 20 a few years ago I really wanted to the business my business was like going up and down. I didn't have like the stability I wanted, and at the same time I was very present, and allowing and operating with a place of joy, but not necessarily a place of like seeing the reality of what was going on with the business, right? And so I found people around me being stressed, and I felt, oh, if I'm going to honor you, I will also take on stress. And what's
Mhm.
happening right now, as like as you were talking about you stress here, Coco, I realized that I had made a decision. And the decision at that time was to take on distress. Oh, I need to be like, you're stressed, so I will take on distress as well. I will take on stress. I took on the distress part of it. But as we're talking here, I'm like, oh, I can still honor the desire to be stressed as well, but take on the you stress. Like there
Mhm.
like I don't have to change being stressed, but I could do it in like a much more fulfilling way. And
Yes.
so I'm curious about how that like lands for you all and some of the things that you're doing right now, where the things may not necessarily be easy, but like if I don't want to like dwell on stress, but it's one of those things where like other people might look at and be like, wow, that's a lot, and for you, you're like,
Yes.
maybe, but it's definitely like I get joy from it. I feel aligned. I feel like I'm fulfilled and actualized. Would y'all want to speak to any of that here? Anything coming to you on that?
I have something, but I'll table it. Let's hear what Niharika has to say.
Thank you for letting me that for this. What I think is, see, stress is a world where people have builded on it, and when they say stress, it means tension. So whenever somebody is saying stress, everybody sees like, oh, the person is worrying, the person is deep down really really working hard on this. But I have a very different perspective on this. See, stress makes you who you are. It makes you work hard. It makes you understand the value of working hard. It makes you understand how to tackle things which are not under your control, but you can bring them under your control. At the same time, it teaches you, are you really taking stress or can you do it without stress? So, at one time of your life, you enter into a zone where you say, okay, this would be there, but I know my potential. So, this is overpowering the stress. So, you don't take the stress anymore. It plays and changes the ball of the game, because then you understand this is important, but I have learned to tackle it. When I have learned to tackle it, then there's no stress anymore in my life, and I'm doing well in my life. So this is where you pick up the ball, and your heart is again powerful than your mind. Your mind goes off, you are there with your heart resting at peace, picking those things which gives you energy, which energizes you rather than draining you. And when you are drained, you know it's the time to spend the time with yourself in alone, where you can sit with yourself and come back to the world. So you don't have to be available for the world 24 cross 7. Give availability to yourself also. And I think that is why stress is just a taboo, because we don't know what stress we are talking about till you really understand what really stress means to you.
I want to chime in. Can I add on to that? Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
first of
we, we,
all,
we can do whatever we want to do. Go
I
ahead, Coco.
mean, I hope you are doing some speaking because wow, I feel so moved when you speak. I'm very inspired. This idea of stress, I actually use stress, y'all. I'm very fascinated with. Obviously, I teach stress management, but I do feel there are times when it's appropriate. Some of us are going to be procrastinators the rest of our life. And there are different ways to procrastinate. You have productive procrastinators that'll start cleaning up their whole house to procrastinate getting that project done for work. You have the ones that feel like they'll do for others and totally then neglect themselves, but they'll justify feeling good about it because they help someone else. So it's just humankind, the way we are and the way we just rationalize stuff, I find really incredible. And the same goes for stress. I will catch myself stressing out over something that's not a big deal. And I will actually say, Coco, you have the tools to get over this. Chill out, woman. And it's really that simple. And let me tell you how I know what you're saying is correct. How this belief of stress, we kind of make it in our own narrative with it. I can really be bugging out, stressed about something, y'all, and reserve a 1 hour lane and go swimming for an hour, just freestyle back and forth. I don't care. I don't count the laps, 1 hour. Whatever I was bugging about, it's cleared up. It's either I realize it wasn't that important or I have left that pool with three simple steps to solve the problem. So it just goes to show it, things are so fleeting, including stress. So how we think about it, manage it, and then as a coach, I always come back to what's the action we're taking. I just had this conversation with my mother today, something with one of my sisters. I'm only going to talk about things so much, y'all. Everybody deserves space. Get it out, feel all the emotions, get it out, maybe a couple times. But I'm the type of person, I'm only going to listen to it about 3 times, and then I want us to talk about a solution. So I'm either going to be a listening ear or you're coming to me to help you. And that's, we got to get down to solutions sometime. We got to get down to solutions, not sometimes. You can only go on about complaining and that we have to fix stuff. Even right now, I'm not happy with the ways of the world. I feel deep sadness about it every single day. But what help? How am I going to help the world and my clients and my students by feeling upset about things right now that feel out of my control? I show up as an excellent teacher. I ask tough questions of my students. I challenge them in the world. I do the same to my clients. That's what I feel like I have control over. How I love on my partner, how I speak kindly and laugh at my parents' jokes that I've heard a million times. You just find your ways to find control and feel better. And I forgot the original question, but I know I said some good things.
Yeah, no, I like that is clear. That is very, very clear. And the
Oh,
point of this here is not for us to like uh it's for us to have the conversations that outliers and trailblazers have, right? And for us to get a chance to be able to really unpack how it is that we think and see the world, right? And we don't always get the chance to like to unpack it and to see it. So and to see what happens with it when that how that gets shaped when we're with one another. Right? Coco, you brought up earlier here your grand study right now on sleep, and it made me think about it. It's come up in a little couple different ways for both of you. It made me think of something that a good friend of mine, his name's Matt Chaplowich, he brought up. A rest day is a training day too. He spent a lot of time in sports as well. A rest day is a training day too. And so there's a component here of that I want to get into when it comes to this to the sleep. And for some reason, like I'm thinking focus, but I'm also thinking like I'm thinking performance, and then like another part of me wants to like leave performance completely out of it and just be like, yo, like we're human, like we should be sleeping. I have this massive vision. I put myself in, I have this massive vision. I have 2 young children. I keep trying to wake up earlier and earlier and earlier, but my daughter is very like she's very crafty. So like, however early I wake up, she's able to wake up 10 minutes earlier. It's really wild, right? And then
mm-hmm.
and I find this component of like and a desire sometimes to like push through, and to say like, hey, if I got at least 6 hours of sleep, we're good, right? Um, And I'm open to changing that. I'm open to challenging that because I'm curious what you're seeing with sleep. I'm curious like how you like what some of your findings are showing you, or what you're some of the things you're seeing here. And let me start this part of the conversation in this way. I'm curious overall, but what's something that most people believe about sleep that like if they got to see some of the data that you got to see, like they would find out like it's actually the complete opposite. Let's start off with that, and then
Mm.
see where we go. So, what's something people think that they know about sleep, that actually just isn't true, and then we'll see where the conversation call goes.
Well, this sleep study focuses on college students specifically, and I feel that people believe that high school students are getting more sleep than college students when my data has proven the opposite. I am fascinated to learn that my students self declared that they had worse sleeping habits as high school students and that they have better ones in college when my prediction was the opposite. I thought they'd be pulling all nighters and, prior to prioritizing parties over studying for quizzes when they really talk about being way more academically stressed in high school, focused on getting into the best college. So that has been very striking to me. I'm actually kind of surprised with how many students are just full-time students and don't work. That's one of my questions I focus on because I want to understand sleep hygiene, how they've set their environment up. A lot of them have roommates and housemates. What are conversations they're having around sleep, even when they have romantic partners? And I want to understand how this plays out into how they're going to sleep as professionals because I'm finding very high achieving, exceptional professionals from the sciences to education to health to finance. They set up really, really unclean sleep hygiene in college, and those habits have now carried them into their 20s, 30s, and 40s. So that's just fascinating to me how they had unhealthy sleep habits compared to how they are in college. So I'm hoping we can clean this up for the next, for their career. That's the
Now,
goal.
now I find myself curious here, Coco. I'm like, look,
Yeah.
you could have done research on anything. Why, out of like with all the workplace wellness work that you do, the adjunct professor work that you do, like, why sleep? Like, what
Yes.
was it about it that said, hey, I have three things on my list right now, and in one of those three, I'm gonna focus on sleep. Why did you choose that of all the things that you could be focused on?
First of all, I can be anywhere in the world, doesn't matter, social economic status, race. I can bring up sleep and everybody wants to talk about it. I feel that I mastered sleep and I've been prioritizing it since high school where I was very busy and I've never let go. It followed me through being a high achieving student with jobs, afterwards grad school and teaching. It sleep I have always valued. And I found that there was a correlation to what things I said yes and no to, and my health, and how I prioritize so many areas of wellness. And I know that sleep cleans everything up, and I can tell when I'm off. I prioritize it on vacation. I prioritized it when everybody was out busy partying. I was getting that nap in my sleep, and it's never changed. So that is really the fascination. It links all of us. We all have to sleep and eat. So I will always have something to talk about with someone. So that's really a lot of the why behind it.
I love this year. Like we're gonna wrap up on this part of the conversation. Niharika, I'm curious for you around um just like the role of rest. It could be sleep specifically, but like there's like it may that may I'm curious about the role of rest in you, especially as you have continued to walk your trailblazer game, and how like what's your relationship to it? What are some of the things that you found with it?
That is very cool question. At the same time, it's very interesting. So I agree with Professor. Totally and completely, Professor Natasha. So, the value of rest is it can be sleep for everyone. It can also be playing games. It can also be scuba diving. And by that, I mean putting your mind at rest. That is the definition of rest to me. And you can also meditate for that. So, when you are sleeping or are at rest, your subconscious is very active. When your subconscious is active, the universe is actually connecting with it, and you are getting the energy from the universe that is coming to your body and that is energizing your each cell, your tissue, your organ, even digesting your food. Because your autonomous nervous system is still working when you are at rest or sleep. So, that gives you exactly what you need for the next moment to recharge yourself and work well every day. and you're at the top of your game or your life every day. So if you can sleep well, it is not a waste of time. And this I have realized that because I've slept 8 hours and 10 hours also, and if that is happening to me, it is a blessing to me because I can sleep, people cannot sleep. So if I can sleep, I accept it as a blessing, because that day is perfectly tailored to me like that, because that sleep has a purpose for me. So if I accept it without any thoughts, yes, thank you for the sleep, I'll wake up with a massive energy to do everything and accomplish everything that is made for the next day. So that is rest for me.
Love this here. I like thank you all for playing this game with you. Thank you firstly for being out in the world and creating what you create, and then coming into this space here to share that, to share the way that you go about doing it. What we're gonna do now is that we're gonna start wrapping up for today. Outliers. My ask is this: we don't like. Well, ask that you share this episode with the people of in your life. All right. We don't do any ads on this here. The way that this spreads is through word of mouth. And I think that, like, as you're seeing here, we have two incredible people here who I really want to make sure that the world gets to know more about how they're playing the game and how they're blazing their trail. And if you're really into it, I would love you to join us in the one person, one conversation at a time initiative, which is to go and really find one person in your life that you think would really benefit from this conversation, whether it's about someone who could really slow down and ask themselves about their desires and really be able to see that and be present, or someone that could be looking at their sleep or looking at their focus, or any of the other exchanges that took place in this space, even the ones that we didn't actually use words for, but were like the unspoken elements of this. If you can find one person in your world who would really benefit from hearing this conversation and joining us in it, my ask is that you take the time to let them know and to share it with them as a gift. This is honestly where I think like the impact of this goes. There's one thing about reach and exposure, but it's another thing about like having a chance to actually uplift other people's worlds. And to me, this one person, one conversation at a time initiative is a great way to do it. So if you can think of one person and share this episode as a gift, it would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you. uh, Niharika, Coco, the way that I like to end things here is to give outliers a chance to go deeper into your world. Like clearly, we're just getting the beginnings of like the beginnings of the beginnings of your awesomeness, right? And so my ask here is that you share with us what would be the best way for people to keep going deeper in your world. I'm sure each of you have like large platforms, and generally speaking, outliers, if they really want to find you, they'll go out and find you. My ask here is that if you let us know one or two ways that like this is the best way for outliers to go deeper down the journey with you, and then we end each conversation here with each of us sharing an insight that you got from the conversation. So outliers are taken care of. Like this is not about like some kind of takeaway, like, hey, any outlier that's listening, like that part's done. This is for you. What like how did you grow as a result of this conversation? Right. And if the answer is like, hey, I didn't get any insights, that's totally fine. Just say that. That's totally good too. All right. So each of us, we're gonna go, I'll go, Niharika, we'll go to you first. If you can share how outliers can go deeper down the journey with you and an insight you got from today's conversation. We'll start off with that, and then we'll come to Coco and we'll wrap up for today. So, Niharika, anything come to you?
Yes, sure. For deeper insights, you can connect me on the social media platforms. I am available as I am Dr. Snap at Instagram, Facebook, as well as on LinkedIn, as well as I'm available as Niharika Singh. And I know for sure you'll be putting this detail in your sublinks. So I'm available at that. Plus, I'm also available at podcast because I have a podcast known as the Code Podcast, which is to help people to just spare 1 minute in their life and listen to the deep wisdom or the knowledge that I have learned from my life. So I'm there at different social platforms. This is the best way to understand my life and also to learn about the websites that I have made, because I've written blogs, I've written pages about my life and also what I am doing in my research or my whole experiences at my own website. So that's the best way to learn about myself. And there's a way where you can find or contact me there. So I take appointment sometimes. Coming to the question of what did I learn or what's my insight from your episode and talking to Professor Natasha today, it is to just come out and show up because you don't know who you are gonna meet up today and who you are connecting today. And from both of your experiences, I figured out that all of our journeys are really, really different, but still we are connected with a certain perspective of life where we are trying to help the society in common. So the deepest insight is everybody of us has something to help others. So if you help others, whenever you are in the deepest pain of your life, help will surely come to you, because that is how the universe works. So I have come back to the same message of Karbala to Hobala. Do good, it will really, really help you. Don't think that nobody has done good for me, why I am doing good for others. So this is the deepest insight I've taken from your episode today.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for playing so fully out here. All right, Coco, bring us home here. How can we go deeper down the journey with you? And then what's an insight you got, if any?
Yes. I am most active on LinkedIn. My full name, Natasha Coco Benitez, where I share what I'm doing in my classroom, surveys, polls, new articles, other podcasts I'm listening to, and bring you along my keynote speaking journey as well. So LinkedIn is the number one way. And also Instagram. I get a little bit more personal, bring my family, my love partner in there. So at Coach with Coco is where you can find me on Instagram, and I'm constantly making little updates to my website. I'm a one woman show, but we're working on that at coachwithcoco.com. So that those are the three best ways to stay connected with me. And as far as insight, I wrote down and underlined being heartful. I do feel that it's something I'm conscious of daily, but it just the way Niharika that you broke it down, I'm really gonna pause before I post something, before I start to compare myself to another professional that I really need to be looking at as a guidance and a mentor, before I'm quick to judge something a sibling shares with me. I'm just going to really pause and ask that question. Am I being heartfelt? Because it's so applicable to many moments in life. I'm very grateful for that. And just to know that total strangers, like the fact, Maya, that you are bringing together three strangers in this circle right now and getting us to speak so vulnerably and with such passion and care is, I love to know that I have a tribe out there, people that feel the same way. So thank you for being a gift in the world and for setting this up. I
Well,
really appreciate you.
I appreciate each of you. Thank you for taking the time here. Thank you for building your life full of actual experiences so we can come in here and share it out here. I know this is that the journey is just continuing here, and I appreciate us being a part of it for this part. Outliers, here goes the thing. Until the next